Close brace. For JavaScript developers, by JavaScript developers. Now that we've got our store up and running, it's time to create some actions that we can use to change the data we're storing there, and watch those changes be reflected in our app. That's right, kids. We're going to make that 0 change to a 1 and then back to a 0 using nothing but button clicks. Let's get to it. Create a file in /source/actions called progress.js. Once again, no JSX extension here because this file will be pure JavaScript with no rendering. We're going to create our first action creator functions here. A reminder that actions themselves are just pure JavaScript objects. They always look like this. The data attribute is optional, but all actions must always have a type or Redux won't know what to do with them. Our functions will each generate one action and dispatch it to Redux. You could generate more than one action in a function, but as often as possible, it's best to break things down into creators that create a single action. You can always call multiple creators from a separate, larger function. Let's build our increment creator first. It doesn't need any data, just a type. Your file should look like this. That's a very simple function. So simple, in fact, that it can be shortened using some nice ES6 shorthand. You may notice ESLint is complaining because we haven't shortened it yet. An arrow function that does nothing except return a value can be done entirely on a single line, omitting not only some braces, but the actual return command as well. Nuke that code and replace it with this code, which does exactly the same thing. Note, you have to wrap the object in parens, otherwise JavaScript thinks you're opening the function, not setting a return value. Here are a few other examples of ES6 implicit returns. You only need to wrap function arguments in parens if there's more than one of them, which is why my array has no parens in the last example. Alright, so we've got our increment action creator. Pretty simple, huh? You can probably figure out how to do the decrement function without me providing the code. In fact, let's make it a little test. Pause this video and try to write it yourself. Okay, here it is. Did you get it? No worries if not. This is a lot of new info I'm throwing at you. Save the file, and that's it. Our action creators are finished. Now we need to do two things. The first is tell our progress reducer to listen for our actions. The second is wire our buttons up to fire those creators when we click them. Open /source/reducers/progress.js. Just below the switch statement on line 6, add the following code. Save this file. See what we're doing here? We're watching the type value of our action for certain strings and then acting upon them. This is how Redux works. Every time an action of any sort is passed, it runs through all available reducers to see if the type is matched by any, and if so, it acts upon the state. Now we have a choice to make. We could connect our homepage component using Redux, which will allow us to access our action creators and trigger them with button clicks. But as we pointed out in our last video, it's good practice to instead create a container element and then pass the functionality down as props. So let's do that. In /source/components/home, create a file called homepagecontainer.jsx. And add the following code. Notice that we're importing our action creators from our action file. We can't just plug these into the increment function and decrement function props we're passing to our homepage component though, because they won't have Redux's dispatcher attached to them, which is the functionality that actually sends the actions to the reducer. So we need to use Redux to bind those action creators to functions we can send as props, which we do by creating another function below our first one, like this. We still need one more line, which connects this component to Redux. Here it is. This is where the magic happens. Now the props argument that our homepage container function takes, right here, will include two methods, increment progress action and decrement progress action. Oh, by the way, we need this null as a placeholder for map state to props, which we're not using in this particular component. If you omit it, Redux will think your map dispatch to props function is a map state to props function, and then your code will break. We can now pass these down to our homepage component like this. See how we're using variable destructuring to pull those methods out of the props argument on line 9? That means we don't have to write props.incrementProgressAction and props.decrementProgressAction when we call our homepage component. We're done here, and we're in the home stretch. Save the file, and open /source/components/home/homepage.jsx. Delete lines 6 through 8. We're not going to be using our test function anymore. Sorry, Draco. Now add a props argument to line 6 like this, and then add a line below line 6, and let's do some variable destructuring. And finally, we're going to go ahead and nuke everything displayed on the page, the two p tags and the button, so that your return block looks like this. Boom. And then add two new buttons like this. Save that file, and we're on to the final step. Right now our template is still calling homepage and not homepage container. Well, that's no good, so open /source/components/template.jsx. Change line 5 to, and that's it. Save that file. Hard restart your server, just for safety. And then head to a browser and hard refresh your page. You should be able to see your buttons. Click your increment button a few times. Your number should be going up. Click the decrement button a few times, and it should go back down. But never below 0. Awesome. If it's not working, don't worry. This is a lot of complicated stuff in just 2 tutorials. Leave a comment and we'll get you sorted out. You can also check out the Musicalist GitHub and compare your code to what's there. I'll link that in the YouTube description. Make sure to switch to the development branch. If it is working, congratulations. Next up, we're going to install a couple of useful tools that will help us track what actions are being fired and even step back through them. See you in the next tutorial.